Welcome, welcome, welcome. So she you look so pretty.
Sure. I
Green.
bet today.
Wearing this green, so much the green and all them things. I love
Yes,
one.
just cool about.
All matched up and dolled out. This is what's going on. Welcome to our Friday night discussions. Tonight we have an interesting topic to talk about. The relationship, between parenting and crime and violence. As we are seeing in the news for the past couple of weeks since the reopening of school, a number of our students are engaging in really deviant behaviors that have caused fatality. We have seen the stabbing, robbing of a young man from a school. It is Papi in high school. He was robbed and murdered, for his cell phone by another teen. It is alleged, that the person who is involved in this act is similar age, about 15, 16. Then we have seen the stabbing of the students, two young girls at the Petersfield High School. We are seeing that video circulating, and we are hearing of other incidents of students engaging in, you know, serious, behaviors that are causing harm to others, even death. And so today we want to look at the role of parenting. Is parenting related to what is happening? Please remember to like, share the live, subscribe to the channel, just share, because tonight we're really looking at this art issue that is affecting our nation. And I have with me again my friend, my colleague, one who love to hear so much from Miss Ashina White, counseling psychologist and guidance counselor at the Excelsior Community College, to help me to talk about this very serious topic that is facing us as a people, as a culture, as a nation. The topic really bother me, Sashina, because it does out of hand. What I see, is really out of hand, and so we want to look at it. So again, I say to share the live, you know, and tell somebody that we are on having this discussion, so that we can learn more from each other, we can engage, we can understand what is going on as we look at if there is a relationship between crime and parenting styles, if parents are doing enough to educate their children, to help them in terms of, compliance to rule governed behaviors, to help them in relation to behavior modification. All these things we are going to be really looking at this evening. So, Mr. Sheena, how you doing? You're pretty and look good, though, like you have dates today and they're all over the road and all kind of things. And you don't know Errol is behind the scene. So don't think
Hi,
Errol has left
Geraldo.
us. Errol is behind the scene. He might work hard, might try to make some money. All lot of it go on at this thing,
Of
right?
course.
So we have to be
Of
real. But
course.
he's still with me, people. He's on the team and he's still with us, you know, in and out. So Sashina, my first question is, because this is my view though, but
Right.
I'm gonna ask you, should parenting be taught? She laugh. Me think it must be taught.
Oh,
It goes
yes.
on.
It must be taught. I had a lecturer who said she was teaching us psychopathology. And she said, I
Break down,
think
but look here, break down psychopathology for the people. Tell them something about
psychopathology is really
psychopathology.
the study of mental disorders, right? So we're talking about things like depression, neurological disorders, and all them things there, yeah. And her thing was, I believe that every parent should get permission. Like it wasn't permission, she said, but it's like a certification before you become a parent to say, yeah, man, you ready for be parent? So go ahead and be fruitful and multiply. And the truth of the matter is, she said this over 10 years ago, and the more we are experiencing life now, 10 years after, is the more what she actually has said make a little bit of sense. Yeah? I really do believe that parenting should be taught should be taught before persons begin the journey of parenthood. It should be reinforced during parenthood and long after the child is born. Because when we talk about parenting, we have a culture in our society now that is you can't talk to me or me for grow my child, that kind of a thing. Because you reproduce and you have a child, automatically it means that you're an adult now, automatically it means that you are able to make your own decisions and you know what is right for your child. Know what is right for your child. And that's not necessarily true. And teaching parenting doesn't mean that there is a disregard for you as a parent, but it means that there are certain skills from different aspects of life: psychology, sociology, nutrition, dietitian, neurology, all of those things that would help to enhance your already quote unquote innate parenting skills. Because at the end of the day, the child that you are rearing is going to be the adult with whom we have to socialize with tomorrow, with whom our children and everybody else's children we have to socialize with thereafter. And they are going to be an individual and a collective part in what society is going to be like in the future. So if you think that because you are a parent, you have all the answers as to how it is that your child should be raised, then I really do believe that you should wheel and come again. It's a collective it's the truth. It's a collective effort because none of us, if we are honest with ourselves, we are having relationships, whether intimate or friendships, and so with some people, you wonder what kind of values they were raised in, and they're out here tormenting us. So we have to take a step back to, kind of reculture ourselves from the mentality that says that as long as I am able to get pregnant, it means that I am a suitable parent and I don't need any help or any education from anywhere else or from anyone else.
Totally agree. And I am just remembering the workshop that you shared in the other day that we had in the Whitfield Town community. When we look at it takes a village, and we just want to set the person that it really takes a village to raise children. And I am supporting your argument that not because you give birth means that you know how to parent. Because the truth is, if we're going to even look at it from a perspective that children having children, then we realize that we are in a serious crisis in relation to children having children. And so we have to look at that issue as it relates to parent, parents having an understanding that, you know, children having children means that you are going to need some help in how you raise your child or your children. It doesn't mean that you have it all together, And as Sashina said, she's out of the studio. We are going to try and get her back in. So let me just touch base with the technical team. So, as she was saying earlier, right, parenting needs to be taught. We need to teach people how to be parents, right? And there's also the assumption that because somebody don't have a child, they do not know how to parent. Because most persons are going from the issue of experience. But it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that because somebody do not have a child, they don't have knowledge of how to parent. One of the criticism that came to my attention, when we had our workshop was that a few parents who did not attend said that the persons who were having the workshop are sharing information were people who don't have children,
Mm-hmm.
and I found that rather, to be a what I would call a low kind of thinking,
It
because
is.
in order, I mean, knowledge is power. So when somebody have knowledge, they can share information with you. And a person may not have a child, but they have interacted with children and they have helped in the rearing of children. That is why you have persons who are godparents, and you have some aunts who have done a wonderful job at helping to rear nieces and nephews and grandnieces and grandnephews. So we have all of that that goes on. So therefore, those statements, don't find yourself making statements like those that persons who don't have children can't give you tips on how to raise your own child or children, because as you have said earlier, and I fully agree that we need to teach people how to be parents, because the way how I see some people parenting their children today, it it,
Mm-hmm.
it really alarms me. Sometimes I cringe just the way how they talk to the child, the way how they discipline the child, they speak to the child, and the child is their companion, is their friends, how they relate to the child, and those have, serious issue as to how impact rather on how the child will behave later on in life, and how the child will in turn become parent. Because what you do, you teach your child how to become parent, and how you treat them. Most times that is the way how they will treat their children. Although sometimes you have the flip side, meaning that how you treat them, they will say, boy, because of this experience that I have, I am not going to be treating my child that way. And then they can possibly be too lenient. You get what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? They weren't able to strike a balance, because them grew up with a mother where beat them 24/7, tell them anything will come out of their mouth, anything them grab them, use and lick them. You understand? And because
Mm-hmm.
of that, they said to themselves, you see me not put my hand on my child, me not treat my child like how my mother or my father treat me. And then because of that, they become too lenient. They weren't able to strike a balance, and the child become what I would call, you know, um, indisciplined. Then, do not
Mm-hmm.
have regard for authoritarian figures and things like that. So we have to be very cautious, and I do believe that parenting needs to be taught. And I think that when parents go to clinic, if they are pregnant, if they go
Of
to
course.
uh, if they are going to the clinic or they go to their doctor, there should be a group, and they have education sessions with them, so
Mm-hmm.
that they know how to parent. The other day, before I move on to the next part, the other day, Sashina, I saw a mother, and I was saying to her, you know, how is your son doing in school? Right? This is a child that is in grade one. So the child was present, and I said, how is he doing in school? Is he doing well? So he say,
So him.
I was like,
What do you mean? So
so
him.
listen to us. So him say, this is a 6 year old. So him say, then that him say, so him say, so my
Oh
phone go.
God.
I was like, oh my word, here is another dilemma that we face as a people. You know,
Mm-hmm.
basically what she's saying to me is that this child is growing himself. She
Yeah.
don't really have an interest. She don't
So
take an
him said.
interest. He's in grade one. I mean,
Yeah.
she's not taking an interest in her child's education.
Yeah.
She's saying to me that I saw him say, and if him
Mm-hmm.
says, I saw it go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Finish here. Teaching
Mm-hmm.
a responsibility. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So parent sessions, we need to engage parent in parent sessions on how to really help their child.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for that to happen, we have to help them to help themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Build up their self-esteem, have confidence in themselves, have
Mm-hmm.
self-worth, value themselves more, know how to really speak to their children, know how to lend support, those
Mm-hmm.
things taught. I am not one who's of a school of thought that because somebody go into the hospital and give birth
And
to a child, that they
mm-hmm.
are a parent. No,
Mm-hmm.
a mother and a
One of
father.
one of the things I want to point out as we start this discussion before we build so much on it is that we have to understand who a parent is and who a child is. And it's not just from a family perspective, but make we pan out and look at it from a sociological perspective. So you're living in a society, because everybody born in a society, whether you're Caribbean island or wherever. You are born in a society. And a part of you growing up within your family of origin is that you are instilled with certain values. Now, from the get-go, we have to understand that no family structure and no family system is 100% perfect. But nevertheless, you grow up into it. It's your responsibility as an adult, because before you are a parent, you are first an adult, and before you are an adult, you were first a child within a particular family setting. Now, I want individuals to understand that being a child in a family setting, you are the child, you grow up, you are instilled with certain values. Once you begin to launch out on your own and you begin to have your own identity, you now have to try to make yourself a better person, because you're now going to be at that stage where you want to begin your own family. You want to find a spouse and you want to multiply within that your own unit. There is a rush with the teenagers or children moving into adolescent years to say, yeah, I want to hurry up and I want to find boyfriend and I just want to live and that kind of a thing. But there needs to be an importance that is highlighted and tagged when it comes on to your development. That when you move on to begin your own family, you have to be careful of who it is. Everybody looking for Mr. and Miss Right, and nobody not really I try to be Mr. and Miss Right. And what you find is that you team up with certain people because you're just a live. You team up with certain people and then you multiply without understanding that there are implications with who your child's mother is or who your child's father is. Because while you might be able to find, when you find out that the person stay a particular way or not take tea, while you are able to leave that individual and maybe find somebody better, if that person is the parent of your child, then you have to understand that everything that happens after that in terms of how you relate to that person, how that person relates to the child, whether they are present or absent in that relationship, is going to affect how the child is grown. So there has to be a emphasis where parenting is concerned to say you have to be careful. You talk about being a good parent before you begin to multiply. It starts with you being a good individual to yourself, to choose a good spouse, be wise enough to choose to the best of your ability a good spouse who you think you can come in alliance with. So once you begin to multiply, create a good and fair family structure so that those values that are passed on within that particular setting don't become a nuisance to society. A lot of the problems that we face, the spill-offs, crime and violence, just ill-mannered nature and all of those things, you can look at the root of it and see that mother and father, the values are completely different or they are not aligned on the same page. And so you have people that carry people go family court, people that say me can't bother, people that hide child or children from this particular individual because shame and disgrace, or me not want him, and you have this bag of drama. So before we can touch parenting, we have to we have to highlight the fact that you have to be an individual who is sure and secure in yourself. You have a good self-esteem. You understand the morals and values of yourself, and you know are deciding that you are going to partner with somebody who have the same kind of values as you do, so that when you begin to multiply, you know, say the child or children that you're rearing within that union is not going to come with some values and morals that that is counter to you. Yeah. Once you begin to do that now and you step into to parenting, so that's why parenting is something that you have to start from before. Once you get aligned with a spouse, and we have to stop being so frivolous about multiplying, and then when the picnic them start the problem, now you put your hand on your head. Be to the best of your ability, calculated in how it is that you are going to start this family, because it's not just about having a child or children, it's about starting the family, because sociology tells you that the family is where the societal values are passed down to from one generation to the next. And so you have to ask yourself what kind of legacy you want to create or pass on from your people them to you, and from you to your children them, and so on and so on. What are you reproducing? A line of criminals, a line of scammers, a line of robbers, a line of thieves, or a line of people who are morally upstanding, that are contributing positively to society? You get what I'm saying? You can't say, oh, you're surprised your child a murderer or your child a thief, and your baby father, as you love to say, is one of them who are hide gun and all of them things there. You understand? If those are the things that are the values that are being generated within that family structure, then it's obviously going to pass down. So I agree. When we're talking about parenting, parenting is not just you get pregnant and you become a mother now or a father and you're happy with yourself and you don't want nobody to talk to you about nothing, because them love to say them go a jubilee, go lay down and have them baby and nobody wasn't there and whatever. Have the understanding that there are experts, whether they have children or not, like myself, who have spent years studying behavior, children development, and all of those things, that are able to help you to do, to the best of your ability, a very good parenting job. So I have to get that understanding in our minds to say parenting is not something you buck up in. We love to say we don't have a manual for parenting, and that is true. But there are so many things out there that can help you to be prepared even outside of the absence of this manual for your particular child.
And that is so true. And I want to say that we may have a manual, because, if you're going to add in the theological side, the Bible do says, train up the child in the way that he should go. And when he's old, he will not depart from it. So we must endeavor to train our children. And the training of the children comes with teaching them moral value, soundness of mind, biblical principles, right? Have them under the covering of the church, right? Where they can engage and understand about, the love of Christ. Now, of course, we are mindful that not everybody shares the same religion, but they must be under some moral guidance that is critical, right? Where they know how to function morally in society. They know right from wrong. Value systems are enforced and reinforced at all times. And before I move to the next question, you said something earlier about, carefully ensure that you are developed, you are mature before you become a parent. And like you myself, I am not somebody who go on a jubilee and give birth, or you see and give birth, but I have raised many children, and I've raised my nieces and nephews, and they have come out to be outstanding citizens, of which I am extremely proud. I have raised godchildren, and they have come out to make me extremely proud. So I'm saying that, people like you and I, of course, we have spent time studying development, how to work with children, how to help people to raise their children. So yes, we do have a voice, and we do not have to have children to let our voices be heard. But you said something earlier, and it remind me of the whole evolution, in terms of if you want your if you want the species, a good species to evolve, then you are going to link yourself to somebody that is of moral, you know, high moral standing, because this is what you want your seed to be. So you're not why go and choose anybody to be a partner. It's just like, when I was teaching evolution in psychology, I was looking at a context where they were saying that if you want your child to play the piano, you have to ensure you have a child or somebody whose finger It's long, so they have long fingers. So if you want a child, for argument's sake, to be a runner, you have to ensure that you have a child with somebody like Usain Bolt. Because you want to pick them to be runners. It's called evolution, of the species. So you talk about that, and it's important that we in the whole issue of parenting and wanting to become parents, we understand that we have to choose the persons who we have children with carefully. We have to try our best to make careful choices. So my next question would be then, what do you think the impact of single parent on childhood development? We are seeing a number of single parenting in Jamaica, globally as well, but in Jamaica. How do you see that and the effect single parenting have on our children, their development?
How? All right. So that's a heavy topic, single parenting and the impact. Straight off the bat, we have the idea that as a single parent, it's going to be tremendously difficult for you to raise a child on your own because male and female together, ideally, within a family structure, they're able to inculcate certain values and even assisting each other to become better individuals. And of course, you'll pass that on to the child and so on. But I'm very careful to answer the question because yes, single parenting does have an impact, and we're going to talk about that. But I want to be very clear that sometimes a single parent relationship might be better suited for the raising of a child rather than what we call like a nuclear setting, for example, because some of the nuclear setting relationships are so toxic. But because you want it to look like mother and father is there, sometimes the presence of either of the parent, whether who is toxic, the presence of them does far more damage than their absence. Right. So I know sometimes when we ask the single parent question, it sometimes is answered in a way to let it seem as though the solution to it is to have two parents in the house at all times and they don't have any problems or so on. So I just really want to make it clear that your family structure, one parent or two parent or extended family and so on, both of them have their pros and their cons for real. And again, it comes down to the values that exist in those families. Because you can have two chopper parents who are raised a destructive child, as opposed to two chopper parents who are chopping life, right? Who are raised a child now, and that's more destructive to society than a single parent who feel like say, boy, life better, that kind of a thing, and me a struggle and so on. And we've heard of numerous cases of individuals where their parents either go foreign and leave them because they want to make life better, or send them to a family structure that has male and female live there together, and the child is abused and all of those things. But you now pay attention to that because you're thinking, okay, this is a stable family setting. So I really just wanted to set that premise to say, even though we are going to talk about like the single parent, it doesn't mean that single parents alone pack up with the problems, and nuclear family or even the extended family is the better family solution. No, the family structure that works well is a family structure that is rested on good moral principles and good values as they seek to pass that on to the child or children, right? So the single parent family puts a lot of strain on the parent that is present. And sometimes you find that you'll know that four eyes two bodies are much better in terms of reinforcement of the same kind of values than just one. Because sometimes in a single parent, the single parents will tell you them say tell you that yo, it genuinely rough because me have to go to work, me not have nobody where can pick up the child, me not have nobody where can stay with him or her, me have to work double shift because the bills were would have normally split in a two, and me alone have to do that, me alone have to do school fee and whatever. And so the individual pressure that comes on the parent that is present within the single parent family is sometimes causes them to either be overwhelmed or under stress and so on. And as a result of that, how they deal with the child sometimes becomes harsher. This is like the negative impact I'm talking about now. So when you have to go to work and you are stressed and you can't find the time for help with homework, the child wants you to play, you don't have the time for play because you're thinking about how it is that you can do right by them. You're spending a lot of time at work because you're trying to get the money so that they can go to school and move on to university, the CXC subjects and stuff. So sometimes the neglect comes in, and as a single parent, you might sometimes forget that sometimes it is not just the monetary thing that the child really wants from you, but more so your presence. But because you think my child not for lack nothing, they must always have, and you're going and you're a go-getter and you're pushing like that, you kind of rob the child of your very presence that is there. Then that void now begins to pop up in the child's life, and they now seek the companionship and they seek to fill that void with different kinds of company or different kinds of things. So you find the peer pressure kind of coming, oh, your mother not there here, me your role, that kind of a thing. They might end up in some toxic relationships, or you might leave them now too. You might leave them to be babysitted by other persons because you try, you're alone and you try. That opens up the avenue towards to abuse and so on. So when you talk to people who were raised in single family, when you ask them about the negative, and we're not saying that that single parenting is a negative thing. We're just talking about some of the negatives that happened within the single parent also. They say, well, my father wasn't there as much as I wanted him to because he had to be out working. Mommy wasn't there as she should. I don't have a relationship or a connection with them. Them provide the things them, yes, but I feel alone and so on. And with all of that, it kind of opens up the avenue to feeling that void where you feel like you don't have that sense of belonging with other things and with other company that can pretty much carry you or lead you down the wrong path as a child. Sometimes too, the single parents will, in their frustration, they will really talk about the other parent. That's one of the other things too. So they will talk about the other parent and your father this and the father that. And so you have a double-edged sword that comes into play. So you're hearing as a child constantly that your father is this, because sometimes the single parent unit is not amicable. Right? You never part amicably, and you're not having that brilliant co-parenting relationship. So what you find now is that the parent that is present, whether mother or father, sometimes them will talk ill of the parent that is absent, and that seeps into the child's brain now, and then there is this resentment towards that particular parent and so on. Also, they will observe how hard their present parent is working for them, and they feel like say, oh, me I forgot that me I for also to come, my mother not for hungry or my father not for hungry because I'm me and him alone, that kind of a thing. And those things also open up the gateway to where they feel that they have to help their mother also. And so you find little criminality probably are coming, or you find little things that them are stray or got ears, so because them are try, to be the man of the house if it is the boy, or them are try to be equal to their mother if it is that they're the girl. So unless that balance is created where you say, all right, this is what has happened, but this is our little family, we're going to work it together, that kind of a thing, they find that there are negative psychological effects that will give rise to it. Sometimes for even like the females, if the father is the one who is absent from the home because they don't say daddy and they're not getting daddy's love and they're yearning for daddy's love, yes, you find them in some power struggled relationships where they're trying to, get that love and that attention and so on. Sometimes with the parents, it becomes a single parent unit because one parent leave and no explanation not there. You realize that our low self-esteem start to kick in, because the question is, what did I do when my mother or my father never stayed around for me, and so on and so forth. So you have a lot to unpack that comes with a single parent relationship. That's the negative impact of it. We have to big up single parents though,
Pick
because
them up, yes.
the positive ones, like them work really hard, they're always on the grind, them pitting not hungry, them pitting not dirty, them pitting ever clean. They will go without because they want their child to be the best. And sometimes when you look at even like the academics in schools and you hear the success stories, university level, job level, but you realize that single mother and single father really go hard for their children and kind of show them how it is that they're supposed to go. So big up every single parent that is out there really and truly working hard. It's not an easy task, but not I want to do it well.
Yes, I want to big them up too myself, and I'm glad they bring that clarity that not not because when we always hear about single parent household, we tend to feel that the nuclear family is better. But as I say, it depends on the family structure because it's best sometime in a nuclear family if they really part because they're causing more damage sometimes on the children based on the conflicts that they will have or based on the relationship being really toxic, but they are trying to stay together to fit society standards because we know that the nuclear family is a family that society says that we should have. And really and truly, that's a family design that God really have also, that we should have a mother and father in the home, rearing the children. The father should be the head of the house and guiding his family, protecting and providing for his family. And the mother is there to nurture and lend support and the rear the children together. But we know that at this time in our country, and globally, we have a lot of single parents, and a number of them have done really well. Because my mother, she was a single parent. I mean, I would say we will see our father, he will come and visit us, but yes, she worked very hard for us. I mean, it had its impact on each of us as children, right? Some excel. The girls, I think, did very well. The boys, I think, didn't, do well with it. Um, they could have done better, but they didn't do well academically, even though they had the aptitude to do well academically. So, yeah, I mean, it has its negative and it's positive, But I watch my mother work very hard for her children, very, very hard for us, right? So I want to big them up as well. So you touch on something you're talking about father not being the home. Do you believe that the absent father and fathers not being present in the home and especially in the lives of our boys is related to a number of them getting involved in crime and violence?
Again, yes. It comes back to, we have to anchor it in the whole idea of what are the value systems that exist within that particular household. Because we don't want to necessarily blame completely to say because the fathers are absent from the homes, then it means that they are more susceptible to a life of crime and violence. Because again, what is the moral value of the father that is missing from the home? You get what I'm saying? Because remember, I said some people end up into single parent not because their fathers are bad. Some father gone a foreign, gone to work. Some fathers are dead, and that kind of a thing. So we have to be specific when we are talking about those things. The absence of a father, however, is something that will cause a void in the life of a child. And that void can most definitely lead a child, whether male or female, to engage in criminal activities later on because you're trying to fill that void. When we talk about crime and violence, it's not just about like murder, you're stabbing somebody, assault, or so on. Criminal activities expand to scamming, to fraudulent activities, all them kind of things there. So the psychological effect of having a father who is absent from your home while you are growing up can have that impact where it now leads you to a path where you start to either fill it with somebody else who is very present, and that person who ends up to be very present is somebody who has moral immoral beliefs and values that are not upstanding and in keeping with the law. Some of the times when we look at even the rise of like gang violence and peer pressure and so on, we recognize that a lot of our teenagers, again, there is a parent at times that's absent from home physically as well as psychologically. They're not there, so even though they might be in the home, they're not paying them enough attention. They're not taking the time to teach them certain morals and values. Some of the time them don't have the morals and values to teach them or to pass it down to them, because they themselves are children who ended up into the parenting situation, and they don't learn about the correct things to do and how to be, and they're going off of their own operation to say, this is something that is honest and so on. And so you find that with these morals and values now that are being inculcated at this later stage in life, as I was mentioning with the gang violence, you find with the gangs, you find that the actions that come out of that now are not necessarily the best morally, but they can't do anything about it because what they are receiving is love. So, for example, and they are required to give loyalty. So, for example, if you look at a gang and you ask a teenager, yeah, so why, sister, them people are not, so they will defend them. Who you call them people here? You know what I mean? This are my family because them did there for me, them back me up, them ensure say them support me and so on. And so it doesn't matter what the loyalty requires. I am going to give the loyalty because they were there for me. You understand? I know that these people have my back is a second principle, because maybe father never did it for have your back like oh you think he would, and these persons are now showing you what it means to have your back. How do you then say to that particular child that that loyalty is incorrect?
You're talking, with song. I remember, no, sell out my
My
friend them.
friend, exactly. And the truth is, when you talk to them, what they have in their mind as moral is that this are my little crew, and even though you are say them, forget them up because them this and that, me not give them up because them there for me. And the truth is, if you are objective about it, how are you going to tell them to be disloyal to the people who have been loyal to them, even though you are say the loyal is an immoral loyal, but it is loyalty nonetheless. And that is a challenge that we have when you see gangs keep growing, because it gives people a sense of belonging that they need desperately because they never get it at them yard, whether from their mother, their father, brother, sister, whoever it is. You understand? And that is why even when we talk about like crime and violence, you can't just look on it like, oh, we are do that wrong and so on. All right. Say for example, you have like a stabbing incident in a school. Not calling on any specific case, but say you have a stabbing incident in a school. And from come a first farmer, me and your role, Jerry, somebody disrespect you and like them push you or whatever, me goes to defend you, stab the person now. Where everybody sees me as a criminal. But what you and I see is that me I defend my friend.
Are you loyal to me?
Yes, I'm a loyal to my friend. I'm not gonna stand up. So sometimes them sit down before you and them say, Counselor, you explain that. No. I am being loyal to my friend because my friend has always been there to me. So always is that I'm labeled as a criminal because of these things. You understand? So it is the friendship and the peers that's teaching them the morals and values that them should have learned from them yard. But because those things are missing from home, what you find now is that socialization take place everywhere. So it doesn't matter where you go, you are going to be socialized in some things. And some of the things that we get socialized in as criminal activity lead you to.
And we want to say also that our peers, peer in the adolescent stage, and then peers, them listen to, when
Of
them peer,
course.
they value their peers more than even their parents. And so that
Of
is why
course.
you have to establish a good relationship or build relationship with your children so they can talk with you and you talk with them. You're not supposed to drive fear in them. They should be able to have conversations with you and discuss hard issues with you, right? They
Mm-hmm.
should be able to come to you and tell you hard issues, even what they experience. One of the things that I've always said to my nieces and nephews, and I do that, I said, never lie to me. I don't like persons who lie, right? I can't do the lie. I don't practice lying because I am very straightforward. I'm not afraid to tell the truth, and I always say my simple to say me, my back is very broad, right? I am not afraid to say the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth because my grandmother said the truth shall set you free. So I always will tell people the truth. So I would say to them, never lie to me. If you go to school and you do something wrong, you get in a trouble with the teacher, just tell me exactly what you did. Then when the teacher comes to me, I will know how to respond. And it's not that I'm going to support your wrongs, but I will know how to respond to the teacher and then I will know how to deal with you. But I always say, tell me the truth. Any problems you have, tell me the truth. And that's something we need to encourage our children to do. And even in them telling you the truth, you also have to know how to tell them the truth. Say, you were wrong to do this. You need to go back to the teacher and apologize, or you need to do that, you need to do that, and next time you don't do this. One of the things that we should not do is really embarrass our children in the presence of others. So, like, even if you went to school and the teacher make a complaint, you don't embarrass your child in the presence of the teacher. You understand what I mean? You don't embarrass the child in the presence of the authority figure who is making the complaint against the child. Even if you're talking with the child in front of the person. I do want to say that a number of fathers being missing from the home. I do agree that have negative impact on our boys as well, right? Because our boys need that role. You know, I I think it's a book that says my mother who fathered me, and I don't believe that a mother can father a child. But I think I know what the author was trying to say. You understand? But and I give this real story. I remember in a training with teachers, one teacher was telling me about her having a son, and she's a single parent. And because her son watch her go to the bathroom when she's passing her urine, and females, we sit on the toilet seat. He tends to do that. And one day her brother came and saw him do it and said, no, that is not how a man use a toilet. And he showed him how to do it. You understand what I mean? And that taught me a very important lesson. She couldn't show him how to do it, in the sense that it was demonstrated to him by a man because only a man can do that. You understand? So there are some things that a father needs to do for a child that a mother can't do. A father teaches his daughter how to choose a good spouse. And
Absolutely.
a,
How a
and a
man should treat
right, how a
her,
man should treat her
treat her, yes.
and speak to her. And a father teach his son how to be a good
A man
spouse,
to a woman.
how to be a man,
Absolutely.
a good man to a woman. So it
Yep.
is critical, and it's vice versa. A mother teaches her daughter how to be a good
Woman.
wife or a good
Mm-hmm.
woman to her partner, and she also teaches her daughter how to select a good mate. So
Yes.
those are key things when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to parenting. And so,
Yep.
without the fathers at times in the home, the mothers are doing their best, and sometimes the boys can get rebellious because what you find is a lot of young boys and young girls, when they get rebellious, they become disrespectful even to their very own parent. That single
Yeah.
parent, receive a lot of disrespectful, behaviors from them, and they will tell that boy, I'm gonna try my best with him, I'm gonna try my best with her.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't realize that something is missing. And one
Yeah.
thing I realize is that we don't realize that we have something up here we call the psyche. And there are times when we need some assistance to help us
Mm-hmm.
to deal with our thoughts and our
Yep.
emotions. But we
Mm-hmm.
are not at a place as a culture. I don't think we have gotten there fully where we acknowledge that we need
Mm-hmm.
help psychologically. We
I
need,
think I think we need to, and it's one of the things that we need to get back to, if it is that we're going to fix what is happening in society with the crime and violence amongst our children. We have to get back to the roots of it, that says it takes a village to raise a child, and come
yes,
out of the individualistic mentality where say you're picking alone and you for raise them. Because a lot of the times when you end up as a single parent, sometimes you're a woman, I mean, I want a man, I mean, I want no more man. Me will raise my pitney by myself, and you be develop an enmesh relationship with that boy child so much that it has whole heap of tributaries of negative reactions, right? So sometimes no, you hold on by your son so tight, and the one son, and you hold on by him so tight because of you growing, you end up be a thorn in the flesh of the woman who end up decides that she gonna fall in love with your son. God bless her soul, because you go up in the ray and you're gonna say this not good enough to your son, that kind of a thing. Also, you're going to be so enmeshed with the child that sometimes some parents are so enmeshed that they don't have the capacity to tell the child when they are wrong,
yes,
because I'm a one boy or a my son and a me growing. And we have this thing too, that if our children do something, we'd rather cover it up because we think that it is an indictment on us as a parent. So you know, want nobody talk to him or correct him or him to get the necessary punishment that he should get, because you feel like say it's an offense to you. So when you see, you will watch, you have some parents who will watch as your child is going down a destructive path, but the love what them claim to have for the child will be blinding them so much that they're unable to correct them, or they're afraid to correct them because the father already gone, so him delicate or she delicate, and you know, want upset the apple cart, and you just allow them, you watch them to go down a particular path, and you're afraid to reel them in because you are afraid to lose them like how you lose the other parent before. And that is a dangerous road to tread. And I started off earlier, and I will come back around to that point, that you have some persons, single parents, you're not take up either a male or a female, depending on the single parent who you are in your life, because you want to step this, come raise your picnic and so on. And while I do understand that point, the simple solution to it is that you have to do the recruiting. But the truth is, you can't lock away yourself and say, you know, want nobody else and you will raise your child alone, and so on. When you look in some family relationships, ex-parent missing, them move on, them heal up themselves, them find somebody else, and that step, that really co-parenting, well, it wouldn't be co-parenting, but that new relationship now with you and the step parent is a good relationship, but you rob the child of that opportunity because you are still wrapped up in the bitterness, and you still feel like you're alone and all of these things and so on, and you rob the child of that kind of foundation and that moral value and footing that exists. And so you create a void, and of course we already talked about that, where they now try to fill it with other things. You get what I'm saying? So absent mother, absent father, there are implications for the household where a parent is absent, but a lot of times the implications will continue because the individual parent is not willing to make the necessary step towards healing and towards opening up certain values and so on. You don't necessarily have to say go get another spouse. If I a single mother, me not necessarily have to get another man same time to come into my house, but want to uncle. I have three brothers. And if my spouse drop out and my child is left, you need to know, say, boy, sometimes you have to go and stay
and get
with
a role
Uncle X
model.
and
Yes,
Uncle Y or whatever, and same way for the other sex, because we're not focused on one person alone.
right,
You
right.
understand? And you come them out. If it's a boy, pick them up. One stay with your uncle, go at camp, ship him off to Monroe, go down there, go be
You need a role model
cadet.
for them.
Yes. If I have a boy child, you're going to Monroe, go learn little man up principles, man, and stuff, and stop itch up on that mommy arm or so on, because you have implications for that. And you will too loving and too this and that. You're gonna there get picked on, you bust out for me, all of those things. So sometimes it's not just me saying, oh, me, you grew up in our household where the value is got teeth that pick that. Sometimes it's not that. Sometimes the good values that you are trying to inculcate is done in such a way that sometimes it will lead them into different different
it
activities.
works to their
Right.
disadvantage.
Works to
And
their
and
disadvantage.
and the critical, you said something earlier, critical thing is again is going back to how can we help parents to be balanced? And we'll get to
Mm-hmm.
that because you said something earlier, and not every parent, and you said would want to get in another relationship and want to have
Right.
a step parent for their child, because step parent is another topic all by itself. Because there are some step parents that really not treat people pretty good, real talk, and take advantage of people's children. And so some persons know in the step parenting because them no know if be step parent or parent, because what they do, they are in competition with the child for the parent. So like if they are with this child's father, they are competing with the child for his father or her father. And so the challenge come with, but you do have some wonderful step parents who are big them up that really take on another person's child and rear them as if that child is their own and love them accordingly. You understand? So again, it comes back to striking a balance, because you can teach the good values and the good values still work in their disadvantage because they are not able to function in the real world with those good values, because in teaching them the good values you would have possibly crippled them. See the mighty Ronaldo they put up in picture, right? You would have actually crippled them in terms of their own functioning. So let us move on to then does poor parenting contribute to crime? I would say yes, it does. But what is your take
Yes.
on that? You know,
Yep. Because parenting the family is a primary means of socialization. And when we're talking, and I just ended with that statement, when we're talking about even poor parenting, we now say you're the one you line out the gun them in front of the pit them and
mm,
then you carry them for robbery. That's not only poor parenting alone. Sometimes what you think is think is good parenting, you're not correcting your child on certain things, or you are over loving them to the point where you're not saying that this is right, this is wrong, kind of thing. Those are some of the actions that can lead a child to end up in certain things. Because if me grow my child with a principle like which is a very good one, you say no worry yourself, I always have your back, and you not specify, you not quantify, yeah? Your mother always have your back. Nobody not for rule you, nobody not for this, that. When my child now go to school, you know quantify that, you know explain that, you know
true,
explain he that.
true.
When my child go to school now and somebody disrespect her or him, where him have a member say, oh, my mother say, yo, she always have my back. Boom, boom, boom. You get two lick fight, me have to come at school now. Yeah, my mother always have my back. You understand? So while my mother always have my back, sounds like a good parenting principle out there. You have to recognize that there are sometimes implications where that is concerned. Yeah, my mother will always protect, my mother always do that. And those are the things that lead when your child now reach one particular level and have gone and have bloody shirt. At the same mother, them wash it out and string it out and hang it up. You get what I'm saying? Because the principle is that to be a good mother, you now got informed by your child for say to the police, say, see him here, him tell me say him have this and that. When I was growing up, and you too, when you come home with us from school with something that does not belong to you, your mother march your back and
Of
say carry it
course.
back, no make no friend or nothing.
Yes.
And you think that, oh, the principle, your mother rough and your mother this and that. And so while that might look like a negative principle in everybody's eyes, in people's eyes, oh, your mother this and that, and why she behaves and
It is
whatever.
indeed a positive one.
It is indeed a positive one. That's why may I take my time and assure when we are saying parenting skills and whatever, we have to rip it apart, because some of them will look like say them is good parenting skills. Oh, my mother said we can't leave. My mother said me not have to come in. We are go out as teenagers, curfew time or whatever. Your mother might say, make sure say you come back in the yard by 8 o'clock, whatever, whatever. Other people, your mother is so rough, but 8 o'clock is early, blah blah blah.
Boundaries. Set
So like a
boundaries for
poor
your children.
principle,
Yes.
but and you over here start grow loose because your mother nice and your mother with this and your mother with that. You don't know what kind of implications. So I'm just saying that to really say everybody need to examine their own parenting skills and see what's happening. What are you projecting on your child or encouraging your child to do or discouraging your child from doing that might lead them down a particular path? And that's why parenting enough for everybody. And the regular parent might not understand, with no disrespect to the parents, but you have your baby, you might not even understand the sides behind that. You understand? Also, another principle that I can highlight is this thing where my pitney I forget everything. You understand? Me never have it, and my pitney I forget everything, and that's all like a good principle out there. As my child wants something, I have to go out there and get it. You understand? And you grow the child with that now mentality, and it's so like a good thing, because my mother never put me in a once yet. But you don't know about delayed gratification. And the same way, so you go out there and you might say to a young girl, if a boy may grow and say, him go out there, that young girl, and the young girl tell him no, he might hold her down and so because him not understand when no mean, because my mother give me everything when me want. You get what I'm saying? So we have to examine those things, how our parenting skills, what we classify as poor parenting skills, and how they can impact in criminal behavior. My mother said nobody enough to lick me. And it sound like you try to say, yo, me and your father no in enough foolishness, You understand? So when you go to school, not anybody lick you, you lick them back. And it sound like you teach a child how to defend himself or whatever. One child a pass now, push them hard enough, big fight broke out. Yo, my mother said, not for lick me, and me not for take nobody, they can all them something. Then me I go police station, me I for go shop, go look for your eye, nose, teeth, because you just, you just leave because your mother said, you get what I'm trying to say? So you have to, as parents, you have to understand that there are little twists and turns. And it comes back to the first question where we say, yo, parenting. You get what I'm saying? Because sometimes the best way you do for true might just genuinely carry them down the wrong path. When I was going to school, there was this story. Me not want to tell no lie on the story now, but me I go try. The story was about the little boy where mother used to something like she used to do everything for him or back him in everything or whatever. But I only remember the last part of the story. When he was about to be hanged. I don't know if you know that story there, Jerry. The boy was about to be hanged. Like him grew up now. So him that little teeth in little things, and his mother used to cover it up and stuff. But the profound part of the story is when he was about to be hanged, they asked him if he had any last request. And him said, yes, he would like to talk to his mother. And them call up his mother, and she went close to him with the noose around his neck and whatever. And him said, come close, mother. I want to whisper it in your ears. And
she bite off him ears.
And he bite off it. Yes, you remember and said, yes. You are the reason why I am here. I remember the front part of the story. Like I said, you are the reason why I'm here.
You never teach me right from wrong. You never teach me,
yes.
You never discipline me enough. That's the moral, the essence of the story.
The essence of it. And it's not like she did a box kick, thump him and all of them kind of things there. You understand? But she just was not correcting him as well. And as me said, the box thump and kick and so on, to shed the light a little bit on the what we would now call, well, not we, but what the society would now call poor parenting skills. If you end up in a situation as a parent and you are not healed from certain trauma, this is a psychological aspect of it now. If as a parent you're not healed from certain trauma and you don't learn how to break generational traumas, and so you will end up channeling that kind of attitude towards your child that will now cause poor parenting skills. So you will kill your child with kick and box and thump if you don't know how to communicate with the child, because that's so you used to get thump, kick and box and all of them things there. If it is that you were grown in a particular way, like you have to go out there, you have to go make money for yourself, and you not to get lunch money, you have to go work for that or look that, those kind of things, for example. If you don't grow out of those unhealed traumas and stuff and become a healed individual, then you will become a broken parent. So a broken parent, broken individual will most definitely become a broken parent if you're not going to class, go learn. The truth is, some of our parents do the best of them ability, really true. Some of them do terrible, but some of them do the best of them ability. But before we have children or before we become parents, we have to reevaluate what is what. So while you will grow up under some kick and thump and feel no way about it, you have to reevaluate that to say no. You have learned now literature and material that a child is not an object. A child is somebody who you can talk to, reason with, that kind of a thing. You make the modification. And that is where also the parenting skills and workshop comes in. You begin to understand that a child is not a mini you. A child is an individual in and of themselves. So even though your parent didn't want you to become like them, you know in this 2022 or whenever you have your child, even 5 or so years ago, you understand that they are their own individuals and you must allow them to express themselves and say who they want to be and so on. You understand? Because sometimes when you hold onto your children too tightly, they begin to rebel, and it is in their rebellion now that you find that they start to engage in some negative behaviors, to include criminal activities.
Yes, you have said I'm awful, and it's true. I fully agree with that. It comes back to our first statement. Parenting should be taught. You need to do some sessions in how you parent the children. It is evident from what we have discussed that poor parenting linked to criminal activities, right? We have to take each criminal activities in its own merit, but a number of things that we see happening um, in terms of our children too, and their conduct at school and all of that is as a result of poor parenting as well, right? There is no less teaching of behavior modification, what is right behavior, I was thinking today and reflecting, I said, boy, when the Bible speak about wrong become right and right is wrong, that's where society is at. It is right to tell a lie, you know, parents just them tell the people lie and them tell the people to tell lie. You understand? It is right to see me walking and $1,000 drop and call me and tell me, but you tell me to go pick up this and them all tell us say God provide for them, cause you have it. Hey, make me your money drop. Nobody not give you back because they must say we have them to know how to work for money. But them must say we have money. Them don't know, they must make assumption. Them people have money, man. So if them do and thousand or nothing, them never touch you and say, Miss Sashina, Miss Geraldine, see $1,000 drop. You understand? Anybody else either. Certain principles there it is lost. It is really lost. And I just say, we don't teach our children now proper conflict resolution skills anymore, you know, and stuff like that, how we resolve conflict, it's always a me. While you must teach your children, I believe, that to stand up for themselves and learn to defend themselves. Me not talk no defend yourself by killing somebody and things like that. So many things are happening in the schools, in the society, in relation to our children. And look here, we are in a crisis, I don't know about anybody, but that's how I feel, that we're in a crisis. I heard a lady say something the other day to me. She said the government open school for the pick them go dead. You need to lock it back. And I said, look at that thing. While we were closed, everybody a ball open school for them not learn nothing. And everybody they behind. Now that school is open up, all kind of things happening. It's like you let out the dogs out the pen. Really and truly, we like call our children that with the scenario, we can link it. Like you lock up some dogs and then they come out and we let them out, make them raging mad. It's like that now they were locked up and then we let them out and it's like them just, bull in a pen, you can't come out, bull in a pen, you can't come out. When the bull come out of the pen now and look here, raging mad and all kind of things that happen with our children. And it is really sad because we have lost so many children in the past couple of weeks and months. And we want to see that end. That's why we are having this social deceiving, share the life, share the information, can't tell if you like, subscribe, make your comments, because we need to keep the discussions going as we continue to educate. And to wrap up, I just want to ask you to give our parents some strategies, some tips, you know, as to how to help your child, how to engage in positive parenting? What would be some tips you would give to our parents, to engage in positive parenting as we continue the journey of life and parenting our children?
All right. First and foremost, we have to learn what is right from wrong. We can't educate, we can't correct, we can't chastise or punish if we are not coming from the standpoint of understanding morals, what is correct, what is right from wrong. And that is without being biased or without being skewed. That means that you have to engage in some level of spirituality, right? Because it don't really matter where is where the spirituality exists for tell us, say, yo, as according to so and so, this is right, that is wrong, right? If your deep conviction is Christianity, then you know exactly where you ought to go. But we know, so we have different persons have different persuasions about. So we not limit the thing. You understand? You have to have an understanding of what is right from wrong from a spiritual sense. So you can't say, all right, you can make reference to something. You can't just depend on your own free knowledge to tell you, because ethics is a thing we're kind of black and white. You understand? Kind of gray. So you have to be careful now and understand black versus white. You understand? So you have to have that. Spend some time in that sense and coming off of that sentence, understanding what you consider to be right or wrong and assess that morally. Not because you were grown that particular way means that you have to continue in that way. There is information out there, different types of socializations and all them kind of things that we keep what will continue to increase your knowledge base and your understanding, right? Once you have that as an individual, you now are able to pass that on as a parent. Because I know genuinely sometimes based on how you grow up, as we were talking about earlier when we talked about loyalty. Loyalty has something here, so yes, but sometimes you have to question the loyalty to who or the loyalty to what. Is it right in the eyes of it being beneficial to you, the child, or even you as the parent? So you begin to question those things and begin to broaden your scope. Once you are involved in the whole act of parenting, don't leave the parenting to just yourself and your pitney alone, not bad enough for this, not bad enough for that. Nobody is saying give free rein to all and sundry. But just as how you would have spent time to understand your moral principles and values, are the same way you're going to be able to look and see who have certain morals and values line up like yours, that you can say, hey, these persons are a part of your village. So if me have a child, my son or my daughter, and I've been friends with Jerry for years, me know say we go, say, your Auntie Jerry going to drop you off at football match or training or whatever. Me feel comfortable. Me know say Auntie Jerry, if you come back and tell me say Auntie Jerry correct you upon something, me not forgot ask Christ about that, because me know for our moral standings and our principles. You understand? So you have those persons within your tribe, and so you know say you're gonna have some people who talk up to you where you're not gonna really entertain, because you look over there and you see their moral principles are dropped down like the breadfruit tree. We can't understand that. But be sure to look at your values and the values of those who are closest to you, and make sure say, yo, they are together, because it really does take a village to raise a child. When you talk about your child going out there now, starting school, depending on whichever age your child is, whether they start in school, they've been in school a long period of time or whatever, encourage your children to talk to you. There is a great difference between respecting you and afraid of you. We don't want our children to be afraid of us. That now gonna work, because they're gonna run and hide and all of them things. Don't want your children to be afraid of you. You want your children to respect you, but be open enough to talk to you about certain things. Understand also that you are not your child's best friend. You're your child parent. You can be a bestie parent to them, but you are not your child's best
Yes,
friend,
I want
because
to emphasize that it's true. Not your child's best friend. Make
yeah,
it
you're
your
not
best
your
friend
child's
alone.
best friend, because when time they have to draw the line, you got here and we have a catch up in a day, white people tantrum and door slam and all of those things, and we're not really depend on that. So we're encouraging the talking so that you can understand your child's personality. You're not just a listen to inner the child business now, because you have to remember, so your child is not going to tell you everything. Only part things may talk. Your child is not going to tell you everything. As close as you and your parents is, nobody ever tell their parents everything. That would just be abomination. It can't keep so, right? Please. That's close. Not tell them everything. You can't keep so. That's a children code. You have parenting where you tell them I have children thing where you keep to yourself. You understand? So as a parent, you must understand that as close as you are to them, they are not going to tell you everything. Either out of embarrassment or them afraid, or it's just too personal. They're not going to really tell you everything. But begin to understand and be able to read into what it is that they are telling you. Look on the wider views and vision. Know and understand your child. If them start moving a different direction, you can call them, you can talk to them. If you are even, feel like them not gonna be honest with you, and so looking at your tribe and say, yo, see if you can talk to them about this or so, or, just kind of rap with them a little bit and see if something, because a child, and nobody get offended if the child tell Auntie Jerry something and not tell you. Nobody feel like say it's an indictment on your parents. Just remember when you was a child, say there are some things that you will tell some people and so on. You understand? On top of that, as you are getting into, the parenting, continue to emphasize and re-emphasize right from wrong. Make sure that you open even their principles into avenues where they're able to get those teachings as it pertains to right versus wrong. You understand? Social clubs and churches and all of those things, and them can reinforce their own moral structure, because you won't be there all the time to tell them that, boy, this is right or this is wrong. You understand? You want them to be able to develop their own moral compass and stand on their own. So when it is that when you are missing as the parent, they are able to make their own decisions and stand firmly in those decisions. You understand? Have open and frank conversations with them about the consequences of behavior, bad behavior, negative behavior, gang and violence and all of them things there. Be real with them, no matter hide, because a lot of times it will come out in their teenage years, because through you hide up the information, them are go they go seeky, and sometimes when them go seeky with the people, them are there, so the problem land up and you go say, but my child never stays. So yeah, because you're now open and be frank with your child in certain things, and them going to seeky, that is just how teenagers are when them reach certain age. When them reach that age as well, try to give them their leverage to explore for themselves who it is that they are. Stop force on your beliefs and who you are on your child, because again, them are going to start to rebel and them are going to be seeky, and when them be seeky, them are going to end up in a problems. You know what I mean? So try, all of those things. There are many things that will help in the world of parenting as you begin to nourish your child at different aspects of their lives, and allow them to know too that there are counselors out there and therapists and just a wide range of people that them can talk to. Make them know that them can go to doctor, and if them a go to doctor, you don't necessarily have to prompt up yourself in the doctor place, because the doctor go ask certain little questions. What you doing in there? Give them a sense, so at least they know that there are different areas that they can
And they have the
cover.
privacy, yes.
Yeah, man, and them can feel like them can think there and stuff, because sometimes as parents, your head at them no want to tell you something. Are you too soft? Them no want to tell you something. Are them no want to break your heart, and them try to solve the problems by themselves. Also, as I said, solve the problems. As parents too, try to keep some things from your children, because children will always try their very best to protect you as parents. And that means some of the time they might get mad, them head might get at all of them things there, and you don't want that along the way. You understand? So try to keep some things, even how you talk about the missing parent or the parent, all the parent now do certain things, and so nobody talk derogatory with them, because it cause a build up a little sense of resentment that might spill out on somebody else. As sometimes we pile on the whole heap of problem and them go to school and somebody says something to them and they just displace and them just go all over the place. You understand? So the parent-child relationship and Child is whatever, how old you are, it doesn't really matter. The child parent relationship is one that is very powerful. It's one that is about teaching and socializing the culture and the morals and the values. But in everything, be educated before, if you are not a parent, before you get into it. If you are a parent, continue to learn and don't feel like because you got a parenting seminar, go learn a one thing, it means that you're a bad parent. You understand? That's not necessarily true. That's not true. You know, you try your very best to improve so that you can be a great parent, and understand that as a parent, everything that you teach your child, good, bad, indifferent, everything that you do, you are inculcating that individual to become a member of society in a few years. And where you are the child, where you raise or you raise them, think about if you would have want to live in a one society with them 10 and 20 years from now. And if your answer is yes, carry on, you keep doing a good job. But if when you look and you used to say at them and the answer is no, you
No,
have to make a right about turn. And it's the truth. Sometimes you
true.
forget say
That's
you
very
raise
deep,
the people
Cecilia.
them where
That's
will
deep.
live in
Yes,
a
that's deep.
society, and you have to be fair. Parents are in it together, because me have to remember say my daughter might very well after my year lock might very well married Jerry's son. So Jerry have to do fear best, because we are all connected. Jerry have to do fear best to make sure that she raise a good man. We are gonna live in a society to become my child, husband, boyfriend, boss, guild president, vice president, whatever. You're raising individuals who are not going to be at sea, but they are going to be in society to function. So when you look at yourself and you look at your spouse and you look at your child, ask yourself the question, am I okay with living with this individual later on in life? And so when we hear me correct the child on something, before you correct, ask yourself, am I doing this towards the advancement of the welfare of the whole human race? Or what am I doing if when I do yes, so I go destroy the society later on? And then you make the decision. It's true, we have to live with them. Yeah, understand?
No, it's
No,
true.
we
So
have to
true.
live with them. And when you look as a teacher and you see say fight and everything are broken, we reach out that state where your country have to give metal detectors. Metal detectors. Me pass one high school and them line up and them have the little something like on foreign show where you go to through where foreign airport name TSR.
I have
I
go
have
through. I have
yeah,
big,
yeah, yeah.
big, big.
For, I mean, I said that is what is happening. Today I saw, I think it was the Observer, them show compass, but them confiscate weapon. When you look, source of compass. Broken glass, cause them must say
Yeah.
fragment of glass, so like them break the mirror and them carry a piece of the glass there. Um, them have scissors, them have the tail comb where you use for cream ear with the little
Mm,
fine something and then the long something that them sharpen the edge of it, and they have been confiscating all of these things because you're not gonna pre it, because you need your compass for your geometry set and you need your comb because you have a comb your ear to make sure say come on. So them sharpen up those little things and not them things that them ever do be weapon. So it means that in order to solve the crime problem, we have to go back to the beginning and look at the individuals who are becoming parents and parenting in that light. Come on, Jamaica and the wider world. We have to wake up now and
yes.
say
Do
what we are
better.
do.
Yes,
We have
yes,
to do better and we have to
yes,
be better. We
yes.
can't continue down this trend. Our children are slipping through our fingers. Them not have no manners. Them don't know how to talk to people. You can't correct them and so, and it has to start from the point of parenting, because if the parents say the teacher responsible for you, where the teacher said goes and whatever, you can't be say you come at school and you box down the security guard, you box down the teacher, you just have box down and go through. So come on, man. We have to return to a point of moral standing where we all have a moral compass and we're able to say this is right and that is wrong. Can't have students who have criminality, criminal actions, and criminal behavior. Parents have to begin to check themselves, man. The parenting need a little brush up. It
Yeah,
need a
man.
little
It wants set
introspection
up.
and it
Yes,
need a little brush up.
yes,
Me now
yes.
go put my mouth and I grown and talk. It need a little brush up. You can't have pitney a dead You go to school, you be there, send up in the go to school, and you get you end up a crime
Caution.
time. One a hall, I got police station, and you have to go down there to go identify a mark school. And not Iraq. Come on, man. We have to brush it up now, man. And we have to say, what are we teaching our children? You understand? And then we have to get back to the drawing board and begin to parent the right way. Calling all the behaviorists, all of the psychologists, all of the sociologists, every counselor, every pastor, every priest, everybody, and start to fix the moral fabric. It is going left.
Boy, I support. I won't even add much. It is so true, and I can hear your passion. You share that similar passion like myself. I mean, I am concerned for the nation's children. I love children. I love to work with people overall. I love young people. And boy, it saddens my heart to see so many of our children going down. I just want to add again, if send out the children to Sunday school, send them to a church. Me know no found no love tell people about pastor this, pastor that, deacon this, deacon that. Yes, but that's true. Yes, Zion not perfect. I have those in there where yes, we also we want you trust the children, urge the children. But look here, there are more good people in there than bad. The few, no matter the few stop. If I'm send them out, and if you don't, that a person who is faith based, send them go join some uniform group, boys brigade, girls brigade, cadets, scout, something of it teach them some discipline and oh fi stand on their morality, and to maintain respect. So I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. I want to thank Sashina for sharing, from the depth of her heart with such passion about what is of parenting. You have gotten tips tonight. We have heard and we have seen, we have shown you evidence that poor parenting is related to crime. We want a crime free Jamaica. We may not have a crime free, but we want to have as less crime as possible. Or we can say Jamaica is the place of choice, the country of choice. We want our school room, our school environment to be free of crime, free of this, violence among our children. We want that to be eliminated. And so parents, we are asking you again to step up. So thank you, Sashina, for joining me this evening again. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And we see you again next Friday night when we look at another hot topic for discussion. And big up Eraldo behind the scene. Thank you again, Sashina.